Ever tried learning about farming from like a really old text, thousands of years old? Well, get ready, because our deep dive today is all about John 12.
Okay.
But, and this is important, we're not just, talking scripture here.
Right.
We're going to cover some really relevant advice for life.
Okay.
And it all starts with a single grain of wheat.
It's amazing, isn't it, how a metaphor from like way back when can still speak to us now.
Yeah.
This whole thing about how a grain of wheat has to die to multiply,
Yeah.
that's got echoes everywhere. Philosophy, nature, you name it.
Yeah, it really struck me, this whole like letting go to achieve something bigger. But how does this ancient wisdom actually apply to our lives today, like in our modern world?
Okay, so imagine an entrepreneur. They're, taking the leap, quitting a safe job, starting a risky business.
Right.
That's that grain of wheat. It's dying to its old form to maybe create something new, something big. But, and this is key, this idea of sacrifice isn't about like deprivation.
Okay.
It's about setting the stage for growth. It lets us bear fruit, so to speak, in our own lives.
Okay, so we're not talking about literal farming.
Yeah.
Got it. But what does this sacrificial living look like, practically speaking, without the robes and rituals?
Think of it as making choices today for a better tomorrow.
Okay.
Like simple stuff. Choosing to save for that dream vacation instead of, impulse buys.
Right.
Or making time for a passion, even if it means less fun time.
So like skipping dessert because you're training for a marathon. Little sacrifices, bigger goals.
Exact. And it shows up in relationships, too.
Okay.
Making time for loved ones, even when you're slammed. Being there for a friend, even when it's inconvenient.
So it's not about being a martyr. It's about knowing that yes to what matters might mean no to something else.
Exactly.
But this fruit we keep coming back to, what's that actually mean in like the context of this ancient text?
Well, the text, it often defines fruit as like spiritual growth and acts of service.
Right.
But what I find really interesting is how this idea can apply to so many parts of our lives. It's really fascinating. And, it's not really about literal fruit, right? It's more about the good stuff we want to see in our lives.
Yeah.
Stronger communities, closer relationships, learning a new skill, even just feeling better overall.
So it's like we're choosing what we want to harvest and then making sure our choices get us there.
Exactly. It takes, real intention, real effort, like
Right.
planting seeds, right? And taking care of them.
And speaking of growth, there's something else about this whole grain of wheat thing. It's a little, I don't know, maybe unexpected.
Oh.
The text, it connects sacrifice to humility, to putting others first.
Interesting, right? This old text from a totally different world asking us to, like, check our egos, be humble.
Yeah, because these days being humble isn't always seen as a good thing, like we're supposed to be confident, put ourselves out there, be the loudest voice. So how does humility fit in with this whole personal growth thing?
Well, it starts with admitting none of us have all the answers.
Okay.
To really grow, we have to let go of needing to be right.
Right.
To be in control, to have it all figured out. It's about being open to learning, even when it's tough, when it makes us uncomfortable.
So it's not about shrinking ourselves. It's about making room for something new. Like if I'm stuck on my own ideas, my own beliefs, there's no space for anything else to grow.
Exactly. When we let go of having to be right all the time, it opens us up, to new possibilities, new ways of seeing things, deeper connections with people. It's like we're creating that fertile ground for growth, for real change.
Like that grain of wheat, right? It has to like give up its own form, break down to actually sprout and multiply.
What a powerful image, this dying to self, as the text sometimes calls it. It's not about erasing yourself. It's about making space for something bigger, something more connected to what really matters to you.
It's kind of wild, right? We started with a simple grain of wheat, and now we're talking about ego and transformation. Makes you think, What else could we learn if we just looked at our lives through the lens of this ancient wisdom? What seeds are we holding on to that we might need to let go of for something new to, have a chance to grow?
That's a really good question. What beliefs do we have? Old habits, maybe, that are holding us back. Relationships, commitments that aren't helping us grow. All of these, these are all places where we might need to embrace a kind of death, to let something better take root.
So it's not a one-time thing, this sacrificial living. Like we figure it out and boom, we're done.
Right. The text, it says that this whole cycle, letting go and embracing growth, it never really ends. It's a journey, self-reflection, learning, changing over and over.
Wow, it's a lot, isn't it? It's challenging. but hopeful too. Challenging because we got to be honest with ourselves about what needs to change. But hopeful because it means we can always grow, no matter what.
Absolutely. And it reminds us we aren't defined by our mistakes or what's holding us back. There's always room to start again, to plant new seeds, to have faith that something good will come from it.
So we started with a grain of wheat, and, well, here we are. This simple image, it reminds us that sometimes the best way to grow is to let go, to embrace the unknown, to trust that something new can begin.